the black hole. Sing for my soul.
Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Sunshine on Leyth, the analysis days. So, we're just going to jump straight into this, basically. I've just been looking at some of the trialees that we've got, potentially, but I'm going to save those and obviously talk about you in tomorrow's transfer episode. A couple of them I have managed to offer contracts to. It's not quite the same in terms of crop that we had last year. Last year, there was some real quality we were able to pick up on the cheap. This year, it's going to cost us a bit more, and I think the quality isn't quite there, but there's definitely a couple. I think I put contracts offers in on 3, maybe even 4 of them, just to bring those guys in. I still want to go after Bradley Davidson, and I still want to go after Larinaga. And so those are going to be some signings I'm definitely working towards, so you're aware. I'm also going to try and sign John Richardson, because his contract at Huddersfield is up at the end of this season, and I want to try and bring him in permanently to Whitport, because I think he's been a standout player this year. An average of a 7.323, playing in a DM role for us is absolutely terrific. He is a wonderful player, and I hope that he can continue to improve. So yeah, John Richardson, superb season. I mean, his contract's up. I want to make sure we sign him. Even if we have to pay him £1,500 a week, I'm happy to do it because he's so important. I think long-term, he's got captain material made all. And then again, his leadership's poor, so maybe not. Ivan Stanojevic hasn't played a lot this year, struggled when he has, but he's very, very young. And I don't know really if he's got long-term potential for the club, but, you know, he's just been behind Simon Defty the whole time. Connor Teal, similar story really. Hasn't played enough this year to really have much of a say on that, and I think he probably will go this summer because I think we could do a little bit better, although maybe keeping him around, it depends what kind of money he wants really. That's the main factor for me, he just hasn't played it. Curtis Thomas, I mean, what can we really say about him? He is a god. You know, next year I think he will definitely hit his 100th league goal for the club. I think he's already hit 100 goals in all competitions for Whitport. He's a club legend and he's only 22 years old. What a god. No matter what happens for the rest of this save, we'll always remember CT. Jed Vernon, really pleased with him this season. He's not been fantastic, but he's had to play that sort of slightly underrated role there. And I think one of the things is he really does lack marking and tackling, but he's got a lot of other things that kind of make up for it. So if he could really work on his marking particularly, which is one of the things we have got him working on, then he could definitely improve. I think long term he still might not be perfect there, but he does an okay job at just buzzing around and winning the ball back for us and helping out John Richardson really. But I don't think he's the ideal man for the role we're looking at there. We want a much more defensively stable player. Jacob Wakeling, 18 goals in the league. Definitely one of his better seasons, ironically, despite missing so many opportunities. But a good year for Jacob in all competitions. When you actually compare it to recent seasons, like, it's probably one of his best. In fact, it's his best ever league season in a Whitport shirt. But he's been under a lot of criticism at times because there's been a lot of chances that he should have taken that he just hasn't. You know, it's just not quite there. And he scored 69 goals for us in all competitions. You know, 19 in one season, 18 in this year. It's definitely as good as he was for us in that season in the National League. Not quite in front of goal, but he did get an extra assist. But he was very hit and miss at times. He comes through in spells, and we just needed a little bit more out of him. But it's not that bad, really. I think he just really starts to look bad sometimes. And if we can find a better player, I may have to. I have found a better player too, in fact. So I do wonder what will happen to Jacob Wakeling in the summer. Charlie Winfield is on a non-contract, might just release him actually. Ben Winterbottom, his contract's up this summer, and he will obviously be moving on as well because he doesn't play. Rocco Adabati, he was nice for a little while. He was good for when we needed him, but he hasn't played this year, and I don't think he will be in future either. Luke Billum, another player whose contract's up this year. I gave him an extension before, but I wasn't expecting to sign the players we did, and yeah, he just needs to leave so we can get that money back. Terry Bishop, I mean, he's still got time left on his deal, but that damage crucia, I think, is really going to cost him massively. I think he had long-term potential to be our starting defensive midfielder alongside a Richardson type of player, but he's just, no. I just think it's going to cost him so badly. Alan Blake, he'll be going this summer as well. Just a player I brought in to sort of pad out the squad a few years ago. Not going to happen. Alan Collins, obviously on loan from Barnsley. Didn't do bad this year, but I think he really did lack that height and speed that we were looking for. And that really did cost us at times. But he'd still put in some solid performances. James Dale, I like him. Like, he's never going to be a starting player for us, but he's a useful backup to CT. Did score a few goals for us in the Cup at least this year. That hat-trick he scored against, I think it was against Notts County, was incredible. Simon Defty. I don't know what even to say about this guy. He lacks a lot of the defensive aspects. He's actually not bad defensively. He just lacks a lot of the attacking aspects of things, and yet he does a wonderful job for us. He's so useful, and he likes big matches, and he's consistent. There's a lot of things to like about Simon Defty, but I do think we can still do better in that role. Jaden Forrester will obviously be leaving this summer too. Ryan Galvin has another year left on his contract. He's a useful backup to Nevitt. That's about it, though. Dion George. Dion. I think we need to sort of really reshuffle our right-hand side because I am looking at a couple more right midfielders now, so I think he may be moving on as well. Will Harding, what a man. I probably will try to extend his contract this summer because I do like the guy a lot. He's done a wonderful job for us this year. 6 goals, an average of a 7.24. It's that height that we really need, and he provides. Idahan, I think As goalkeepers go, for his first season at the club, he's been solid. There's been some mistakes in there from him too, but then it's kind of what you have to expect from goalkeepers, unfortunately. I still don't think we've found our Marvin Suarez or Jose Antonio Suazo, but we weren't expecting to in League One or League Two. We really were. Ben Johnson, he's flat to deceive. 5 goals and 6 assists. In all competitions, 6 and 6. I think we need to see a bit more from him, but I do still think that he's got the potential. We're trying to get rid of that long shots issue, which could actually be a problem. I think his PPMs, honestly, might be what's holding him back slightly, with both of them being things that I would probably rather him not have. Galantari will be going this summer, of course. Has interesting attributes, but just never quite did it for us. Kai Knight, absolute god. He is just pure defensiveness in every single form. He's been wonderful this season. He has really good base defensive stats. That's just what he does. It's his bread and butter stuff, and he does it well. Ruben Lau still has another year left on his contract, and that's fine. He can stick around. Lee Suk Jae, yeah, he was just a backup striker to bring in. He's not bad. He's too many cons. And he's on loan from Portsmouth. Michael Lee, I like him. He's finally adjusted to playing on that winger role now, which is really good. 4 goals and 9 assists. Bearing in mind, 9 assists for Michael Lee. That's a really noticeable factor. Like, Morton doesn't have that much more than that, and he played a lot more matches. So, actually, Lee has been really good this year. We've got a really good stacked left side, and I'm pleased for that. And here is Dave Morton, in fact. Yeah, 9 goals and 12 assists. Actually, he doesn't seem to have played. I wonder who's played more minutes between these two. Point is, I'm still massively happy with those two on that side. Russell Nevitt, I think he's been okay. Nothing special. The guy I'm looking at to play left back next year that I'm going to potentially sign from Spurs on a free has got better physical stats, and he's 6'6", and he's not slow either. Perez de Gracia tore his hamstring a little while ago. He's on a non-contract, probably going to release him as well, unfortunately for him. Putman Kitely has got another year left on his deal. He will stick around because, of course, he will. He's a club legend, but I don't see him getting a lot of game time next year in League One, to be honest. Didn't score a single goal for us this year, 1 assist. So, team stats. Obviously, possession-wise, we are not a possession-based team. We're just not. Well, we're not that bad. We're only just below 50%. We're not a Stevenage. Penalties taken. We've only had 6, and we've scored 5 of them, so a solid return for us. Yeah, that's about right, really, when you think about it. Headers 1, we're still down towards the bottom, but I guess it's just the way we play. Headers 1 ratio, it's not as bad as it could be, I guess, at least. The yellow cards, look at this. 86. Nowhere near as foully as before. And red cards, we didn't have a single red card this season. And I don't know what changed, really. Because it's not like we haven't got aggressive players still. It's just a weird one, that. Strange. There we go, though. Form. Top goal scorers, us. 85 goals. At one point, it looked like we would score more, but it just wasn't quite... Wow! Okay, there you go. Cross completion, 17. Could be higher. Crosses completed. Up towards the top, though. That's the main thing. 18 goals from corners is insane. I actually I can't believe we have as many as that. I feel like we scored a lot, but then it's hard to tell from season to season. We've really been massively successful in set pieces this year. Really, really useful. Hopefully we can carry that into next year. That could save us. Direct free kicks as well. 4. That's really impressive from us. That's been our main difference this year. Indirect, not quite as good as some other teams like Wimbledon. But still, 4 direct, 5 indirect. That's another 9 goals. That's 27 goals from set pieces this year, and 5 penalties in there as well. That's what, 32 goals from set pieces in dead ball situations? Well done, lads. Really, really good. I mean, we have scored more from open play as well this year. We've just been scoring more goals in general, which really does help. Passes completed, the lowest number of passes completed in the league. We just go from A to B. We're playing a bit of shithousery, and there you go. Chances created, the most in the league. Last year we were like this too, but this year we've had the finishing to back it up, it would seem. I'm not sure what's really changed. I think more than that, it's been the defensive stability has really, really helped us this season too. Shots on target, more than 50 more than anybody else. Conversion rate, right up there too, which is really helpful. We even win quite a lot of fouls too. Dribbles per game, right towards the top. Always nice to see. Conceded, not the best defense in the league, but at one point it was looking pretty close. But you can see that the top 3 teams defensively are the teams that were promoted. And that to me says a lot. When you look at the top 3 teams scoring-wise, actually it's the same. So it's just real consistent. You score more and you concede less, you're going to do really well. And this is a huge thing. We've only conceded 2 goals from corners this year. That is ridiculous. We've been so prolific from corners, and we've barely conceded any as well. Direct free kicks? Sure, we've conceded 3, but we've scored our fair share of our own, so it's not too bad. Indirect free kicks? It's not even that bad. 6! That's so much better. Like, I think 19 times. That was us a few years ago. We definitely have improved, and I think that's just come from having better players. We've been slightly better in those positions. It's made a huge difference. 22 clean sheets as well. Fouls made, only 7th most. Tackles won, a little bit low, but tackles won ratio, also a little bit low. Penalties conceded, 5. That makes sense, though. Filed are all over the shop. Average attendance, still one of the lowest at 3,300, but, like, come on. Small ground. average attendance by capacity were one of the highest in the entire division, up there with Wimbledon, who've been just getting magic numbers, like huge numbers in their teams. Stadium sellouts, we've had none, I don't think. Still haven't had a league stadium sellout in this save. Our highest attendance was, I think, the 4,000. Nope, we had another one earlier this season, I think. 4,100. Next year in League One, we've surely got to be getting close to 5,000 some of these games. It has to be. And our lowest attendance was only 2K, 2,500, so not bad. Net transfer spend? We spent £500. So we have still spent money, unlike Scunthorpe, who spent, wow, a lot. But Walsall made £2.5 million. Mental. Average salary per annum. The second lowest. Amazingly, Bolton's salary per annum was lower than ours. And despite that, they're still financially insecure. But that's insane. There were some teams in here, like Port Vale spending more than 3 times what we are, and they came 17th. That's a really good sign. Milton Keynes Don spending a lot of money, as are Gillingham, and frankly, Wimbledon too. So we were punching above our weight as always, and next year it's going to be even more difficult, because remember, there are teams in League One spending 8-9 million a year on salaries. Blackhaven, for example, are now doing that because some of the signings they've made are immense. Next year they're going to be a massive challenge in League Two. I think they'll probably win League One next year. Most games won. Idahan, 28 wins. He's played every game this year. Well played. Most man of the match awards, it's pretty standard. Curtis Thomas by 4 clear man of the match awards. He is just a god. Nobody else even comes close to that for us, which is really, really nice to see. Any other interesting players? An Iraqi guy called Wissam Jalal, who plays for Scunthorpe. Ooh, you are very interesting, my friend. He might be a little bit... He's not even that slow, is he? He is very, very good indeed. I might scout him. Not that we need left-sided players, but hey, it's good to know that he's there anyway. Sean O'Connor as well of Newport County. Plays in the middle, but it's got some Wait, hang on. Oh, he's on loan from Swansea. Still, that could be a potential loan signing for next year, maybe, if we need an extra player in there. So I'm not too fussed about that one, too. Luke Lavery of Northampton Town as well is a striker, but actually, that has all the hallmarks to me of a pressing forward, which would be very interesting. He's got 2 caps for his country already as well. Only 20 years old, so it's definitely some quality there. Any other regens I see? No, but still, some quality there potentially. Distance covered? We're more interested in this. This is huge. Both Ben Johnson and Dave Morton covered the most ground in the entire league, and Michael Lee wasn't far off of those two either. But still quite a distance off. Like, very few players even hit the 13k mark on average. Curtis Thomas, average rating of 7.71. That's his best average rating ever. He's had his best season for the club. Crazy. George Moncur was sensational too, but Will Harding up there too with John Richardson, Jacob Wakeling. He's the 8th best player in the league, and I'll take that. Dave Morton on there too. Really good to see. We're not going to be up on here, are we? Despite the sheer number of height we've got in the club. Curtis Thomas, 25 goals in the league. Wakeling as well, 18. On another year, he's very close to being top scorer in this entire division. So I guess I've been overly harsh on him, but sometimes he can be a frustrating player. But maybe I would be the same about Curtis Thomas if he wasn't scoring as many goals as he is. Goals per minute, massively better though. Like, that's a lot better. Wakeling has played more games, not by that much, but enough. He's had more shots than Curtis Thomas too. So there's definitely a disparity there. That's for sure. Shots overall, actually, Curtis Thomas 110. And I mean, actually, he's had 1 more shot, but he has scored 7 more goals. So there is a factor there, definitely, for sure. Harrison Chatfield's had a lot of shots for Stevenage, but has only scored 15 goals. So perhaps not the best one there. Let's check out the shots on target ratio. Again, both of these two hit the target regularly. I wonder what their actual percentage is. Wakeling's slightly higher, interestingly, which means he's just not actually getting them put in. But he's also 2 years older. So there's that factor to think about as well. Conversion rate, Curtis Thomas, 22%. He's nowhere. He's nowhere to be seen. Johnny Hawula with his 7 out of 9 penalties. That's basically dead on what you'd expect there. Curtis Thomas at 83% is actually above that, so I'll take that. Assist-wise, Moncur with 80? With 19 assists is insane. Dave Morton, though, 3rd highest assister in the league with 12. Did it from that final match, I suppose. Michael Lee up there with 9, and, well, I mean, don't know how... I wish there was an assist per minute one we could see in here as well. Paul Taylor is a striker, so I don't know why he's got so many assists, but he's very, very good on loan from Ipswich Town. I'm going to give him a scout report anyway, but I don't really want to be getting loan strikers in, to be honest. Marvin Hodge of Crewe, who, of course, missed out on the playoffs. Another player that I'd be potentially interested in, just to see what he's like. Could play as a winger as well for us. Reece Dyer as well of Forest Green. Not really in a position we can use, unfortunately, there. Still pretty solid, though. Key passes. Wow. We don't win it for once. Callum Hume of Scunthorpe has dominated on key passes, but somehow only picks up 2 assists. But the guy is clearly quality. Oh my god, he's a regista. Oh my god, he's a regista. He's an actual natural regista in League 1. League 2, rather. That is mental. I'm going to scout this guy immediately because he would be amazing. I think he's too expensive for us, but that is a sensational opportunity there. Imagine having both him and Richardson in the team. Plus, it means that we could potentially go for one or not the other. Nicky Blakemore as well. He's got some excellent passing, and vision's not great, but aggression and work rate are very, very high, and he's speedy too. Lots of options, although we'd have to see, 'cause some of these teams might go up still. Brimacombe Weird. Just seems like a misspelling almost there. Don't know much about him. David McIntosh of the McDonald's as well. Another of these players that he'd probably cost too much, but it's just useful to see. I just want to get some information on them more than anything else. It's just quite useful for scouting these situations. Curtis Thomas does create the most chances by an absolute country mile. Nobody even comes close to creating as many chances as he. And I think that's basically the same people throughout there. Although Bolton's Ryan Turner also created a decent number of chances because he appears to be very good technically. And he's very young and Welsh. And he's on loan from Luton. Okay, as always. Luton seem to have everybody out on loan at the moment. Pass completion, nobody there. But that's fine. We were expecting that. Dribbles per game. Wissam Jalal as well as Issa Yusuf as well off of Exeter with only 13 dribbling. I don't know. We'll get a little scout report on him anyway, but I don't know if he's really what we want, to be honest. Yeah, that's fine. Offside, we don't really care about that. Tackles per 90 minutes. Nobody on there at all. We just don't seem to make the tackles right now, but I guess we don't need to. Mistakes into goal. 3 times Alan Collins has done that. You notice none of our other ones are on there. That to me is a real symptom there. Mistakes-wise, Defty always getting up there, but nothing from Nevitt, which is good news. Key tackles, Nevitt, 16. Really nice to see. Key headers, Will Harding with 91, Kai Knight with 83. Again, no sign of Alan Collins anywhere to be seen. No one on that one either, actually, which is surprising. Shots blocked? Nope, nobody at all. Goalkeepers conceded, of course. Idahan conceded 40 goals. But, I mean, he did play a lot more matches than some of these guys. Not all of them. Some of them, though. Right, let's go and actually have a look at the actual squads themselves. We'll start with right-backs, and we'll kind of work from there. Although I have to be honest, there's basically really no comparisons to be made at right-back because it's Defty and Stanojevic, and there's no way Stanojevic is going to come out ahead of Defty in this. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Look at this. 147 to 8. He's nearly double the number of goals we conceded. The interceptions are higher. His tackles rate is higher. Slightly less tackles overall. Passing is slightly worse too. And key passes is better, though, which is key. He's better in the air than Stanojevic too. He wins a lot more headers overall. He's better at dribbling. His cross completion is slightly lower, but we don't know how many crosses he actually put in. It's a shame if it's like in the game. It'd be cool if you could hover over that and just see the actual figure, but there you go. Assist-wise, again, slightly better. Chance per game, better. We score more goals with him in the team. He has a few more shots. Our PPG is massively higher. That's a bit of a no-brainer. However, when we're comparing two-star players, it shows you that right-back is an absolutely must-sign position for us, and that's for sure. Like, there can be no beating around the bush. We need to sign a right-back. So that is top priority, right? We can move on, really, because there's not much more to say than that, other than Defty's done well, but we can do better. So on the left side, things get a little bit more interesting, because we've had Nevitt, who's played the most. Galvin would have played there. Lee, he's kind of done a bit of both for us this year. We'd actually look at his performances from us this season. He's been 17 times he's played at left back, and he's played a lot worse when he's played at left back, which is not a surprise, because that's not where I've been training him. So there is that. But really, we've got to compare Nevitt with Galvin. We can have a look at some aspects of Michael Lee. So, for example, his cross completion is better, but then that's because he's more of a winger. Makes sense. Galvin actually does slightly outperform Nevitt on that one, to be fair, but he's worse defensively. Worse in the tackle, wins less tackles. More key passes, though, for Ryan Galvin, to be fair to him. Nevitt's more of a just pure defender, is he not? He's just sort of a sensible, does the things, not too flashy. Actually, he's still pretty decent. I've got to be honest. We're going to be pretty stacked at left back next season. The whole left side is going to be fantastic if we get the signings I already want to sign. Particularly if we get Larinaga as well. We're going to be absolutely stacked there. So that's interesting. Nevitt is definitely better in the air, though, and that really does make a difference. And the new guy I'm looking at is even better in the air. But he has only got 1 assist this season. Chance creation-wise, it's about the same as Galvin. There's no real standout there. We score a few more goals with him in the team himself. And his PPG is better, which is the key thing for me. So he is definitely the man for the job. And he's also 6 years younger than Ryan Galvin, which is a massive thing. Like, to be 6 years younger and putting up the same numbers is huge. So currently right now, Nevitt is the starter, but there is a guy I'm looking at who have offered a contract who will at the very least give us competition for left back spots. So we don't really need to go sign players there because I'm already looking at a guy, and honestly, I'm happy with the signings we've got in that position as well, particularly as Michael Lee can cover it too. So left back, not a problem for me at all. Not a problem. Centre backs, though, this is where things start to get a little bit more interesting. So we can have a look at Collins, Knight, and Harding here, because really it's just those three. Nobody else has actually played at centre back for us this season at all. Now, Alan Collins did play a couple of games at right back, I think, once. So actually, no, that's irrelevant. We can just take this as it is. So firstly, Collins kind of has the best defensive record, and Will Harding's is slightly worse, but they're all above a reasonable level. Tackles won, all above 90, although Knight does win less tackles, surprisingly. So that's kind of interesting. The passing is all about the same, but Alan Collins is way worse in the air, like a considerable amount worse. And actually not worse in the dribble than Will Harding, but well, he's worse than Will Harding, but nowhere near as bad as Kai Knight. Chance creation-wise, I'm not really that bothered from that from my centre-backs. We score a lot of goals with Harding, and actually, I've got to say, Kai Knight does have a better PPG, but Alan Collins hasn't been as bad as I think I was acting like he was. I think the main issue for me is that he makes too many mistakes compared to the others. Like, actually, in fairness, he doesn't. I mean, he's made the most mistakes, and he has played the most minutes overall, though. So that's fair. And Will Harding's probably been the standout for me. But Collins does make more glaring errors, like those 3 mistakes leading to goals because he's failed to make an interception or stuff like that. He's really bad for the interceptions. I still think that these two are better than him, and that's why I actually don't mind the fact that he's going back next season at all. I do still think, though, that we need to look into the centre-back spot because we don't have a lot beyond that. Maybe that be a loan signing or not, because I did get a couple of guys in on those Premier League trials that were centre-backs, but they just had no height. They were like 5'10", and they couldn't head the ball to save their lives, so just not what we want. We need, particularly with this system, with this team, we need tall centre-backs that are commandeering in the air because we play a narrow defensive line, i.e. we're waiting for those crosses to come in so we can just head them away. When we're forced to do other stuff, that's when we start to struggle. And obviously when Collins has to play, we're not always going to win those chances in the air. A striker that's 6 foot could challenge him if they got good enough jumping reach, whereas good luck challenging Kai Knight or Will Harding when they're 6'6" and 6'7" comparatively. So centre-back backups definitely needed. Maybe if we find another one like this, but more like with Alan Collins' technicals, with a bit more of the sort of brutality of a Harding or a Knight, then maybe we could sign there, but I think it's more for backup. So defensive midfielders, it's been Richardson, Teal. I mean, actually, we can compare all of these guys, but really, Perez de Gracia obviously doesn't count at all. Adabati's played a few games there, but I think he may have played it right back more than anything else, even that. Bishop, I still think long-term he's actually got some potential. I just think he's going to struggle, unfortunately. Why have we got Club in there? I'd never even noticed that before. But yeah, so for now, I might just we auto-size all columns, see if we can bring it down a little bit. There we go. It's a bit better. I can see a bit more now. It's a bit more congested, but you get to see a little bit more stuff, just with personalities and whatnot. John Richardson, we must try to sign him. We must protect him with our lives. He's been sensational this year, and I hope he can do it again next year, particularly if we bring him in. Connor Teal, decent PPG. Jed Vernon, also decent PPG. It really is that other spot for me. The issue is that we've kind of found ourselves in a position where we don't have that bruiser in the team anymore. And that was really Terry Bishop's kind of domain. And I think we need to start getting back to that. Now, Bishop's going to be out for another year, so we can't really be looking at him next year. I think we need to look for a more defensive-minded defensive midfielder for next season. Richardson, if we could sign him, fantastic. That's the sort of creative side of things sorted, potentially. But we need a guy to win the ball and drop it off to him. Vernon's done okay doing that, to be fair to him, but I feel like we could do better than that, and I think a player with better attributes in those areas could make a huge difference for us, and Vernon would just be a useful player to have around the club, because he is still young, still going to learn a lot. Terry Bishop in that same kind of mould right now. We're pretty stacked in this position in a lot of respects as well, but the likes of Connor Teal will probably leave this summer, because I just don't really see a place for him currently in the squad, though his PPG is very, very good, and I do wonder if perhaps maybe we should give him a new deal. See if we can knock him down a little bit because his squad status isn't going to be quite as high. Good personality as well to have around the club. So maybe it's not the end of the world. But I do think we need like a bruising defensive midfielder with great tackling, maybe a bit of height about him too, that we can have a sort of bit of yin and yang. So we'll have Richardson as the sort of flair player that can really create things for us, and someone else just to mop stuff up and give him the ball to let him do his thing. I think that's what we really, really need. So on the left-hand side, it's really been a Morton, Lee, and occasionally Luke Billam kind of party. But really, it's been all about Dave Morton. The guy's been fantastic. He is wanted by Barnsley, Portsmouth, Reading, Sheffield. He's wanted by big clubs, but he has got another year left on his contract. I don't see why we would have to sell him at this point. I don't know if he has a release clause. That could be the one issue for us. Does he have a release clause? Yes, of £400,000. So there is a problem there. At the very least, we would maybe we could try to offer him a new contract this summer and try to get rid of his release clause, or at the very least to make it higher. Because 400 grand, it would be decent money for us, but I don't want to lose a player like Dave Morton. He's so important for us right now, particularly with clubs wanting him. But I think a few of those clubs are League One, which means that would supersede that release clause. But I think some of them might be Championship too, so we've got to be careful because then they could trigger it. So make of that what you will. But we're defensively better when Michael Lee's in the team. That doesn't surprise me because he's got that defensive side of his game. And he's better in the tackle, as you can see here. But you can see, key passes per 90 minutes. He is definitely worse off than Dave Morton. He's not quite got that about his game yet. Cross completion, though, fairly similar. Assists per 90 minutes. Lee's been decent, but Morton has still been better. Like, Morton's played more minutes, but he's also creating more assists. He's better at chance creation. We do score slightly less goals, and their PPGs are about the same. It's good. Like, in terms of scoring as well, Morton's better than that. But we really are in a great position on that left-hand side with Morton and Lee. And if I get Larinaga as well, our left side is going to be just disgusting next season. And that's very, very pleasing for me. I really don't think we need to do anything here. Maybe if we sign any youngsters, then sure. But not that these guys are old themselves. But like, if we find like a 17-year-old with some decent quality and potential for the future, then I definitely think we need to start looking at that, because there's a bit of dead weight starting to appear here. Although mostly this is the right-hand side for the dead weight, I've got to say. Luke Billam will definitely be leaving this summer. We can save that £600 and put that into Dave Morton's contract if we need to, you know. And on the right, this is a problem. The right-hand side is a problem child for us, because we know that we can get good performances out of our right-hand side, because Putman-Kiteley has proven that not this year, but in this save. I do wonder if the determination is holding Ben Johnson back a little bit. He's just not quite offering enough for me. And I'm concerned that could cause problems long term, because when you actually look at this is super important. There's some serious numbers being put up here. We've got to take a look at this. So Putman-Kiteley, better defensing when Putman-Kiteley is in the team. Better defensing? What is that? More interceptions from Putman-Kiteley. He wins more tackles. Less key passes, to be fair, but he is better in the air than Ben Johnson. He wins more headers, less dribbling from Putman-Kiteley, in fairness, but his cross completion is better. He has a better assist per 90 minutes record. He actually has 3 assists this season, albeit I think that was mostly in the Cup. 1 in the league, 2 in the Carabao, but still interesting. We create more chances. Well, he creates more chances. We do seem to score a lot less, though, so there is that. Certainly worth noticing, though. And our PPG is definitely worse, but Putman-Kiteley still does things, and it's so bizarre. We've still yet to find a player that can fill those boots, and I do think that maybe if Ben Johnson's determination was higher, maybe he'd be able to do that. But you can see that there's a lot of dead wood on this side with George and Blake, and I don't know. I mean, then again, Dion George hasn't been that bad this season. He's matched Putman-Kiteley in a lot of areas, to be fair. So maybe I'm being too harsh on him, in fact, and maybe he is actually the true guy that could be for that role. I mean, maybe I have been using him a fair amount towards the end of the season, in fairness. Like, when I've had a choice, I have preferred Dion George over to Putman-Kiteley. And maybe I was right to do so, because he's been putting up similar numbers compared to someone like Ben Johnson, who's not bad. He's got 12 crossing, and Dion George has got, 7 crossing, and yet his cross completion ratio is 17 compared to his 10. I don't know what it is about Ben Johnson. I think, though, it's the PPGs. Not PPGs. I think it's the PPMs. Shoots from distance when he's only got 7 long shots. Coming deep to get the ball. I don't think that really works when he's playing as a winger. Maybe when he's playing here, that could work, but we've got to work on that if we're going to make this guy into something, and I do think we can, but he's going to have to shed both of these PPMs. So if we can get rid of those, I think there's a player in there for us, but I think right-hand side is definitely... The right-hand side of our team basically needs a revamp. And really now, it's just all that's left is strikers. Wakeling and Curtis Thomas have been the standouts. James Dale has probably been the number 3 that sort of could step in the most, but they've all been kind of much of a muchness. I'd be interested to see their PPG. You can see his PPG is much higher than the others, although not actually that much higher, in fairness. Goals per game, definitely better. But like, Jacob Wakeling has played the most minutes, but Curtis Thomas has been so much better. But we'll see how much better he actually has been. We concede slightly less with Wakeling in the team. Interceptions, though, way more for Curtis Thomas. He wins more tackles. What's this? There we go. Was that tackles per game? Yeah, so he's got more of that. Pass completion slightly worse, but look at that. 2 key passes a game. Better in the air. Not by much, though. If we could find a striker who's... This is why I really like that guy from York. He's got the height as well that could really give us a slightly different option for the strikers to try and hold those balls up. Curtis Thomas is great, but usually it's because he brings it out on his chest and can knock it into the space. But he does still win a lot more headers, considering that, which is weird. Dribbles per game. His cross completion is 25%. Assists... Literally an assist every other game compared to Wakeling. It's ridiculous. Chances created as well over a chance per game. Team goals, we can score more with him in the team, just barely. Like, 0.43 is still very, very good for Jacob Wakeling. I've got to say, he's been solid this year. And I don't really think I can fault him too much, but I do think we can still do slightly better in that role, and there are ways we can improve. I don't think he'll be leaving, though, unless there's any kind of massive deals for him. Like, if Burton were interested again, perhaps, then maybe we could look to do a deal there. The one thing with James Dale is I don't think he's got that determination, but he's still not bad. Like... We don't score anywhere near as many goals, but then often it's because he's playing in weakened sides in general. So that is definitely a factor for us, I would say. Chance creation still worse than both of them. Goals, again, still worse, but not that bad. Shots on target, not too bad either. PPG, it's really Kalantari is the real weak link here. But I do think we can do better. I think, obviously, LSJ will go back, Kalantari will leave, and we will be able to stock up with some strikers. There's a guy looking at called Neil Cross, who I think would be released by Spurs, an Irish guy, who is... I'm going to go for him instead of the Tanzanian dude from Man United, because the Tanzanian dude has got really good mentals in areas that we don't really care about that much as a striker, and as a result, it's boosting his current ability to make him look better than he is. Whereas Neil Cross does the bread and butter stuff, and he is really, really good at finishing, composure, and anticipation. Very, very important. Like 15's, I think one of them's 16 actually, and he's quick too. Not stupidly quick, but quick enough, and he's got a bit of height too. So there's definitely things to look at there. So I'm pleased with that. So, sort of in conclusion here, I've got some players I'm looking at on trial, which I've already told you about. I won't show you them now because it'll be a bit of a spoiling the surprise for next season. But if we could sign at least 2 or 3 of those guys up, that would be excellent. That would be just giving the squad a bit more of a base. If I can go after Bradley Davidson from York and Larinaga and sign John Richardson, all those guys on free transfers, if we get all of those 3 as well, then I think we'll be really, really well set up, because I think that would still allow us to have about £13,000 a week to spend, and a huge transfer budget still. So we could go out and actually buy a marquee signing to really make a statement in League One next season. I think it's set up very, very nicely financially due to the results against Liverpool. It's given us a real shot at investing in ourselves to have a chance at staying up and really trying for a good season in League One next year, because I think Curtis Thomas has still got 15 goals in League One next year. I think he will hit his 100th league goal for Whitport during some point of next season, unless he gets to serious injury, because he is truly one of the best players I've ever had in the lower leagues of England, and I can't wait for him to be starting up front for us next year, and I will be continuing to play him. There's no reason not to. So, what is the word of the day going to be? The word of the day is going to be, I think I've used this one before actually as it goes, but cowbell, because I've got an iced latte on my desk from Aldi, and they're by a company called Cowbell, so try to use that in a sentence if you're brave enough. And yeah, drop a like on the video, of course, if you're new to the channel. Well, no, if you've enjoyed it, let me know to keep doing it, I suppose. If you subscribe, if you're new to the channel, and this is the first video you've chosen to watch, but sure, hey, you do you, bro, you do you. And yeah, I stream on Twitch on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and sometimes at the weekends, but you already knew that. If you didn't, go follow. It's fun. We got a new save starting soon. It's going to be sick. And I will join you guys tomorrow for some transfer goodies. I still don't know where that bloody stripy shirt is. I'm going to have Em to try and dig it out for me. So I'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.